Well, that comes from my family history. So my parents had to leave their country as a result of having all their property and money taken away. And there was no due process of law that occurred. It was simply stripped from them, and they had to come to a new country and start from new. And my grandmother always used to say that it was an injustice, and that led to an interest in the law and pursuing the ability for people to have due process, have their rights protected by the law. And so that always what piqued my interest as far as studying the law. Both of my parents are Cuban. My family is Cuban for a few generations back, and both of my parents came from Cuba at a very young age. I am the first judge in the family. I am the first lawyer in my immediate family. I have a cousin, I think second cousin removed, who started law school at the same time I did. So we sort of shared that. And then I have now a younger brother, 12 years younger than me, who's also a lawyer. I don't know that there was a one moment that struck, but um, I had been involved in encouraging a lot of people to seek out that job if it was something that they wanted. And eventually somebody said, maybe you need to put your hat in the ring. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I know that I would dedicate my time to do the best job that I could. So at some point in time, it just crystallized, and maybe it was time for me to just, as they said, put my money where my mouth was and put in myself. So I don't know that there was any one moment. It might have just been over a long period of time. I think it's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to have the opportunity to serve. Being a judge is a public servant, and that's, I think, where you start and end. There's a lot of stuff that comes in the middle. But when you understand that the job is to be a public servant, that you are giving up your ability to be in private practice or giving up certain freedoms that come with being a private citizen to be a judge, that's what it is, being a public servant, understanding that you're going to uh, be there to help, to serve the public, to do a job that is demanding and difficult at times. Right now, anytime I get to preside over an adoption or reunify a family. In my current division, that's really means that we've had a magnificent success at some level. And I know that if I have the opportunity to reunify a family and it's the first thing that I do in the morning, it sets the tone for the rest of my day. Or if I'm able to be involved in an adoption, it sets the tone for the rest of my day. And if it's the last thing I do on a day, it sends me home with a smile on my face. There's a number of them to think about, but there's one particular family where I know that the parent worked very, very, very hard and had a very difficult road in front of them. But I still think about that day when they were reunified with their child and how happy they were and how ecstatic they were that they had accomplished this very long road. And if I think about it, it immediately brings a smile to my face. So, but I have 100 stories like that. So, but there's a couple that stand out. Well, I'm a big believer in that the bench should represent the community. And right now, I don't think we properly represent the population numbers of the community. So I do think that there's room for improvement. But as we look back over the last few years, we have seen a big change, and the bench is more and more looking like a representation of the community. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. So the answer is yes, and I think it's moving in that direction, and I think it will continue to move in that direction. I think it's important, and I guess because of my current division, I always think back to there's always an individual, a young person, a young adult, maybe even a child, that may identify with an individual being from the same ethnicity or being from the same race, and look and say, hey, if they did it, I can do it. I think back when I was growing up, seeing people and thinking to myself, wow, that person is like me and they're able to reach this level in life. I can reach that level in life. And I think it's important to have that. So I do think being unified and showing a united front, whether it's speaking at schools or colleges or helping people that are going through the process, so they see, hey, there's someone that looks like me, comes from my background, and they did it, I can do it. And it's maybe the best encouragement we can have to others. I think it's important to be involved. If you're involved and you can get to know people, know the system, and work hard. Work hard. If you work hard, that'll be half of it right there. I think people are looking for someone who does a good job, maintains their reputation, and works hard. And at the end of the day, if you can do those things, I think that will lay the foundation. Everything else you'll find. But if you can do those things from day one, you'll lay the foundation.